Hello and welcome. My name is Lucille Pagan, and I am the Director of Graduate Admissions at Northwood University. Today, we have a wonderful session for you. We are going to be talking about our honors program as well as the BBA MBA track. So we want to again welcome you. I know you may be joining us from the comfort of your home. Maybe you're taking your live session outside, staying clear of the rain. But wherever you are, we want to welcome you at Northwood University. We got a great panel of students that are going to be sharing their experiences both in the honors track as well as the BBA MBA track. So what is the honors program? The honors program is an option for students to participate in more of a comprehensive more comprehensive classes. We want to emphasize the ability to have more project-based learning, a lot of individual and collaborative projects. The students themselves are the ones that are choosing those topics that they want to dive into deeper of a research. And with this, you have smaller classes. You also may have priority registration depending on how many honors classes you're choosing to take. So there are a couple different levels. If you meet the criteria coming in as an honors student, you can choose to just take classes, honors classes. You can also then choose to take one of the paths of either a certificate or a diploma for the honors program. So there's a couple different options that you may want to speak with your academic advisor, and we are happy to let you know what those opportunities are, what the criteria is for that. Today we have Tristan with us, who is an honors student. So we want to welcome you. If you wouldn't mind just sharing with us, how would you say the honors classes differ from your regular courses at Northwood?
Right off the bat, the class, you begin to build a bigger, a more stronger relationship as you discuss throughout the class with them. But overall, I mean, you kind of already touched on it. The nice thing is the class kind of goes where you want to take it. You have control. Maybe there's one topic that you think is really interesting. You want to talk about it, or you want to, target your paper or the whole outcome of the class. That is completely doable. It's really you get the priority registration, so that way, if you want to take an honors class to stay in the program, but you also want to avoid that 8 a.m. accounting class, you can actually get classes before a lot of the other students so that you can get that. But overall, it's a lot more discussion based. You'll find that in other classes, kind of the general knowledge that you will learn and pick up, we kind of skip over that because it's already, you kind of do that as your homework part. And then we go in depth with discussion in class. So to me, it's a lot more interactive, and I learn better a lot that way.
So definitely a lot more hands-on, which we like to say that the honors program really translates nicely if you are looking to go into the MBA program, because this is a much more discussion-based type program. Can you tell us a little bit about which option are you going? Are you going the certificate way or the diploma way? The certificate one, I understand, is taking 12 credit hours of honors classes, and then the diploma one would be taking a total of 24 credits for the honors distinction there.
Yep. So I'm actually just doing the certificate. That's just because, some of the honors classes couldn't fit within my schedule as I become more involved at Northwood. But I still love being a part of it. You build that relationship with your professors, and it's a great program. But yeah, no, I'm doing the certificate route.
Perfect. And just for everyone that's listening out there, with the certificate, there would not be priority registration. It's with the honors diploma that you would get the priority registration, and you would work closely with your academic advisor to make sure that you can get all of those classes in your schedule on time. Have you had any experience with travel abroad, or know of any other honor students that have been able to do study abroad as well?
I have not personally, but I know a lot of my colleagues in the honors program do definitely take advantage of that. Yes.
And then how much outside of the classroom, time-wise, do you feel that you're working on projects either individually or collaboratively with other students?
I would say, I mean, it all depends on the course itself. Because I mean, I took an honors course for culture and anthropology, but I also took an honors course for microeconomics. And because that microeconomics course was much more material and was much more of a core class, that was a lot more work than my culture and anthropology class was. So it does vary depending what class you do. However, it is going to be a little bit more time outside of the classroom than a traditional class would be to get like that, like I said, the surface level information that you just got to know. That way you are prepared for in class for those deeper discussions. It is still very manageable though.
Perfect. And what would you say to a student, maybe an incoming freshman who is considering taking classes, honors classes, but may be a little bit nervous to do that? Is there a good class that you would recommend that they start off with to kind of ease their way in?
Maybe even before hopping in a class, just if you're looking at a specific class, go and talk to the professor at Northwood. You know, everyone is a familiar face and everyone's willing to help you. So just go have that discussion, share those concerns with the professor, and they can give you a lot better idea of, you know, what exactly the class is going to entail. But overall, through my experience with all the honors classes that I've done, none have been, you know, like absolutely backbreaking. They're all manageable. And I mean, it all depends on what type of student you are as well. But overall, I would say it's all encompassing. It isn't just for a select amount of people. Anyone could do it if they're willing to push through it.
Perfect. Thank you. And John, I'm not sure if you can add, I know sometimes you can add information on the bottom, but the director for the honors program, Glenn Moots, with his contact information, that would be very helpful as he's going to be heading up the program. Do we have any questions from those that are out watching specifically to the honors program? We want to make sure that we cover any questions that you might have. Again, there is specific criteria coming into the honors program. We look for students that have a certain GPA requirement or GPA requirement meant, as well as testing, SAT, ACT. So anywhere from a 3.25 with a 25 ACT or a 1210 SAT, as well as up to a 3.75. In order to stay in the honors program, you do need to maintain that 3.25 GPA, which, as Tristan would say, I'm sure is pretty doable.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. If we don't have any questions on the honors program, we can definitely transition into the BBA MBA track. So I'd like to welcome with us today, we have a panel of students that I will introduce here shortly to you. Actually, we'll just go ahead and start that off first, and then we'll kind of dive in. We have a first-year student, Megan, if you'll say hello. If you wouldn't mind just telling us where you're from and what your major is, that'd be helpful.
I'm a freshman. My major, I recently just switched to the insurance risk management, and I'm from Heartland, Michigan.
Thank you. And then second-year student is Colette. If you'd say hello here and answer the same.
Okay, hi everyone. I am from Gladwin, Michigan, and my major is business management with a minor in economics.
Perfect. And John?
Hey everybody, my name is John Perot. I study management and I'm from Escanaba, Michigan, up in the UP.
Thank you, John. And lastly, our fourth-year student, who is our MBA graduate, Nick.
How's it going, guys? My name is Nick Andrews. I'm from Belleville, Michigan, which is right next to Ann Arbor. My undergrad degree was in finance and entrepreneurship, and now I'm finishing up my MBA.
Wonderful. Thank you guys for being with us today and being able to share your experiences. But first, we want to talk a little bit about what the BBA MBA program is. This is an option for an accelerated format to complete 2 degrees in 4 years. It's very much not heard of at any other schools. And this is an opportunity for the student to complete their undergraduate bachelor degree in 3 years, and then consecutively in the 4th year, go into our daytime or 12-month MBA BBA program. So that is what currently Nick is doing and finishing out at the end of this summer semester. So the criteria for this program is very similar to the honors program, and that's why we chose to kind of group those together. You can definitely be an honors student as well as participate in the BBA MBA track. With the BBA MBA track, you would need to know if you want to start in this track prior to coming in as a first-year student. And if that criteria is met, you would sign in a conditions of enrollment form to say that you want to be part of this track. If then you, let's just say you don't start right away in that first semester, you would have a second opportunity to enroll in this track after, at the beginning of the second semester of your first year. So as long as you've established a GPA of a 3.25 as a Northwood student in that first semester, you would be able to then come in as a BBA MBA student. With this track, there are select majors that we do include within it, and we can share those out later, or the website for that, where you can access that information. Being in the BBA MBA track, you do need to maintain a 3.25 GPA, as well as complete a credit-bearing internship prior to coming into the fourth year of the graduate school. And the reason being is that we want to make sure that the students have that experiential learning in order to leverage that while they're in that fourth year of the program. So some of the nice perks about the BBA MBA program, we have, just like the honors program, we'll have some social events. We just recently launched a student group that is specific to those students who want to just find a network of other individuals who are in this track. And we always welcome our students with an annual ice cream social and have other fun events throughout the year. So I want to start with the students, and really just, you're the ones that are living it. We want to hear your experience in the track. But first, I'd like to just ask, why did you, how has the BBA MBA program changed you from high school and now taking on this more accelerated format? And anyone can start there.
Okay, so I'll start. Not only has it helped with time management, which is obvious, it's going to help with that, but I've also just really developed myself as a person, because not only, basically I found out that I'm able to do a lot at once that I never knew I could do before, and it's manageable and it's okay, because I am in the BBA MBA program, but I'm also in about 5 or 6 other clubs and executive boards that I help with them as well. And I've just been able to really see what I can do and the difference that I can make in the community and on campus while achieving something as awesome as the BBA MBA program that we have here.
Thank you, Colette. And so when we're saying accelerated, what does that mean? You're trying to compress a bachelor in a 3-year time frame. So we used to have prior to bringing back the student group, we did have a group called 19 Credits and Counting, because ideally, sometimes the students may have to take about 19 credits in a semester in order to stay on pace with achieving that degree in the 3 years, the bachelor degree in the 3 years. And so the students would be able to take up to 19 credits, both in the fall and the spring semester, and that would be covered under your tuition. If it's anything beyond that, we would obviously have to do some exceptions. And I think that some of you may have gone beyond that as well, if you want to share those in a second here. But also in the summer, sometimes students have chosen to, or may need to rather, take some additional courses in the summer. Those would not be included. Those would be that would be tuition that you would pay separately, but that would still help you to stay on track as well. Has anyone taken over the 19 credits by chance?
They technically mark, I play volleyball. I'm on the volleyball team. They mark that as a credit in like my transcripts. So it says I'm taking 20. As far as class load, it's still 19.
And thank you. So yeah, definitely it helps too. Some students we've seen come in with dual enrollment. So that definitely helps when you're able to bring some credits in already in that first year. So that those are other options. What would you say is similar to I asked with Tristan on the workload, but what would you say is your workload now? Maybe if I can hear from the John or actually from Megan, really your workload now versus your first year, and then I still would like to hear if from the others if it's changed at all in your career as an undergrad.
So do you mean like the transition from high school to college as far as workload? Okay, so I think that normally when you say that you're taking 19 credits, people give you this look like, oh my gosh, like that's crazy. But once I got to school, I think once you get into a groove and into a routine, that it's really, it got to a point where I was able to like organize each class, organize my work. Like it didn't, as long as you can stay organized, the workload doesn't feel super stressful and overwhelming, especially because your classes are spread out throughout the week. You're not taking every class every day like you are in high school. It gives you time to separate your thoughts and just like stay organized for what you have to do. So as long as you're able to just sit down and make sure you have everything listed out that like you need to do for the week, it's very easy to accomplish and stay on track.
Great. Thank you. And then we did talk about internships, and that's something that is a requirement. Sometimes some of the majors that are within this track don't require a major necessarily for your degree. However, as I explained, you would need that going into the graduate program. I know each of you have had internships already, and some of them may have counted towards your credit-bearing internship. I'm going to start with John, if you wouldn't mind just letting us know maybe a couple of the internships that you've had and maybe how you acquired those and how they've maybe changed how you do things now as an undergrad going and then, moving forward.
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate. I've actually had going on to three really unique internships. My first one after my freshman year was the one that counted as my credit bearing one. And that was actually at Cedar Point, the amusement park in Ohio. So I was in our park operations team as an internal auditor, learned a ton there about everything. Very fun experience. This past summer, I was at Domino's Pizza headquarters in Ann Arbor, where I was on our international franchise operations team with a focus on e-learning and marketing. So very, very, again, very cool, very unique, totally different than anything I had done before. And then this upcoming summer, I'm actually going to be working with Nestle USA, and Nestle is the largest food and beverage company in the world. So working on their sales team, working specifically with Target as my client. So it's going to be a very cool opportunity. But overall, my favorite part about internships is that you get a chance to go out in the real world and see what it's actually like. At Northwood, you learn a bunch of the concepts, you learn real world things, but now you actually take those skills and apply them. And that's one of the best parts about having those is that you get that real world experience. And for me to have worked for 3 companies before I graduate is incredible. I couldn't ask for anything better than that. In terms of getting them, kind of a variety. I've worked with our Career Advancement Center at Northwood. I've also gone to our career fairs that the career advancement team offers. So my Domino's one, even though, I was a freshman student, I started off going to the career fairs just because I was like, well, whatever, I'm kind of bored. I'll go learn about the companies and stuff. But he actually remembered me year after year. And that's how I scored the Domino's one. So there's a variety of ways to be able to get internships. And Northwood, again, has a great team to help you if you are struggling to find one.
That's so great, John, and wonderful experiences that you've been able to have and will continue to have. As you mentioned, the fairs that we have, the career expos, we do offer those twice a year. So typically we'll have one in the fall and then one in the spring, but we highly encourage you to just start going to them, even as a first year student, get your feet wet, even if you're a little bit shaky of, introducing yourself, but the more and more you do it, the easier it will become. So thank you. Colette, if you'll let us know a little bit about your experience on internships. I know you've also done co-oping as well.
Yeah, so all of my internships have really just been co-ops. Because I don't live very far from here, and I never really had the desire to go somewhere far away from my internships either. So my freshman year last year, I got an internship with Dow Chemical. And I worked there, worked there for a year and 2 months or so. And then just recently in February, I left the Dow job and I now have a job at the Midland County ESA. And what I do there is event planning. So that's more of my credit bearing internship because my degree is in management. So what I basically do is plan all of the events for the surrounding high schools, like mock interviews, career planning, all sorts of stuff, which is all canceled right now, unfortunately, for with everything going on, which makes me very sad. But I've also had a great time with all of my internships with both of them, and they were super easy to find. And I was able to get a lot of help from career services at Northwood with finding them and attaining them as well. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Colette. And Nick, I know you've got some great experience to share as well.
Yeah, so my first internship was sophomore year. I worked as a dealership operations intern in my hometown dealership. I basically started in service in the morning, moved to sales kind of in the afternoon, and kind of floated around wherever I was needed to learn directly from management how they were working in their roles, and every single role in the entire dealership all the way up to the owner itself. So that was my first internship experience. And then from there on out, I'm a part of the auto show. So I'm a part of the executive board, and we're very close to the Cox Automotive Company. And through that experience and being so involved and all the work that we do in auto show, I got to know Cox Auto very well and ended up getting an internship with them down in Atlanta, Georgia. And internships like that happen all the time at Northwood. You get people like John, Colette have had awesome internships. And a lot of these companies pay for your housing down there. So I was completely paid for as far as my housing went. Atlanta, Georgia was awesome. Lived right downtown in the city. And they paid me very well. And I think that's credit to Northwood and everything that we have as a school. And these companies look at us as the business leaders, and they want to attract students like us. And following that internship, I'll talk about it a little bit. I was an innovation analyst in a team called New Product Innovation. So basically what we do as a $10 billion tech automotive company is our team goes out and scopes the market for emerging technologies and businesses about 3 to 5 years out. And we either buy those companies, apply those technologies to our current business to either save money or make new money. So really my team is a bunch of entrepreneurs basically that build businesses inside the business. It's actually one of our companies, Ride Clean. But you would recognize some of our companies by Kelley Blue Book, Auto Trader. Those are the main ones you'd probably see because you probably bought a car online and looked for it. So that's what Cox Auto does. And I was offered a full-time job with them. And once again, credit to Northwood. Without me asking, they raised my salary twice, which is great because they know how awesome the students that come out of Northwood and they value us. And I give credit to Northwood for that as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. And if you can just elaborate a little bit or tell specifics on how, Nick, what is the difference in the transition, or how different was the transition from going to undergrad to the MBA program? I think some students are can be a little bit nervous about that part.
Yeah, I wouldn't be nervous at all. I was actually talking to one of my friends who's a senior right now. I'm not sure if he's considering DeVos or not, but he was asking how much harder DeVos is compared to undergrad. And all I said is it's just a different style of how we learn. So in undergrad, you're learning via lecture. Sometimes you're not participating in class, you're sitting in the back. But Northwood students don't really do that anyways. But in DeVos, we sit in a circle and we direct the entire conversation that goes on. It's up to us to bring material to class and our experiences from our internships and talk about the material that we're talking about. It's not up to the professor in the classroom to lecture us. They more direct conversation and stimulate the kind of things we should be talking about as a cohort. And a lot of our work is group based. So currently my team and I, we're doing a consulting project, and we're working with kind of a Panera style business called Great Harvest Bread Company. They have 200 different franchises, and we are consultants for them for a marketing strategy. So instead of a lot of the class in undergrad, you kind of just go to class, do your homework and things like that. We're really doing real world application in DeVos with real companies, which is really awesome. And it's definitely a different change of pace and different style than undergrad is. So I wouldn't be worried about the challenge, especially as all of you students are on track for BBA, MBA. You're great students as it is, so I would not be concerned with it. And I wouldn't be concerned about the workload in general either. Us 4 students in this chat right now, John runs a business. Colette and I are very involved on campus. Megan's a student athlete, and yet we still do 18, 19 credits. Sometimes I've had friends do 24 credits, and they still graduate on time. So I wouldn't be worried about the workload at all in undergrad or in graduate school. It's just a different change of style from high school to undergrad and then undergrad to DeVos.
Thank you, Nick. And so if you can, John, if you will talk a little bit more about the support that there is. Obviously, we know that BBA, MBA can be challenging at times. Again, you're taking on more credits. You might be involved in other extracurriculars. But what services are there for students? Any type of tutoring available?
Absolutely. So we have the Timberwolf Learning Center, or the TLC, and they actually have a variety of different services that are available to students. So for example, they have group tutoring sessions. So say everyone's struggling in an economics class, you all can get together and study with professional trained tutors. They also have individual one-on-one drop-in tutoring. So for example, even if you're a really good student, but you have 1 or 2 math problems from your algebra class that you're really struggling with, or maybe the professor just didn't teach it a way that you were used to maybe seeing in the past, someone there you can drop in and just have 1 or 2 questions that you get answered right away. So it's a really great opportunity to learn even when you're struggling. And that's one of the support services that's all set up for that. And it's all free. It's all included with your tuition, which is something that you don't often find at a lot of other universities.
Thank you. And I'm just going to jump into the chat here to get some questions out that are being asked. For Megan, as an athlete, how was your experience been pairing it with this program? I know you mentioned just a little bit. You're very much focused, but tell us a little bit about your experience.
So the experience transitioning from like a high school sport to a college sport is obviously going to be a little bit challenging at first. You're expected to do a little bit more with the team, things like that. But a lot of the programs here at Northwood, as far as athletes, when you're in season, require you to already like complete study hours. So these study hours are really helpful, especially when you're in the BBA MBA program, because it does set down time for you to either sit with like classmates or go to the library or go to the TLC, and then you log these hours for your coaches. So I think that as far as managing this school and volleyball, I got through it a lot easier than I was expecting. There is definitely a lot of help. A lot of your teammates are going through the same thing. You'll know other athletes that are in the program. And I think that as far as managing your time, as long as, again, you can stay organized with what you need to do and keep that on track for when you're in season, then traveling on the weekends won't be as big of a deal because you're completing that work throughout the week on time. So I think the transition wasn't as difficult as I was expecting it to, as long as you really are able to take advantage of using your study hours with either like the TLC or getting a tutor and just staying on track with what you need to do.
Perfect. Thank you, Megan. Another question here is more just about balancing time. So for the students that are both full-time students on campus and working outside of the classroom, how well are you able to balance the time needed to work and keep up on classwork? Let's start with Colette, if you wouldn't mind answering that.
Yeah, so I actually at one point had 3 jobs and I was still able to balance it. I have always worked when I have been in college. And in fact, first semester, I worked far away too. I worked about 45 minutes away. And you learn time management. Like that's just the best way to describe it. Like, you know what you have to do. I usually make a list, like a to-do list. If you were to look inside of my planner, it might give some people an aneurysm, but to me, that's just how I schedule my time. And what I do is I write everything down. And you want to for sure find a job that's very flexible with hours, because sometimes things come up too. I remember, I think I was working like Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, but on Wednesday we had a career fair and I just said, hey, I need to get Wednesday afternoon off because I want to go to this career fair. And all of my jobs that I've ever had have been very flexible about that. And And if they don't understand that you're a student, I would really look for a job where they're very flexible, because 2 of my jobs were at Northwood, and one of my job first semester is back at home in Gladwin. Then I obviously had Dow Chemical and the Midland ESA, and they've all been flexible, and I've never really found it to be a challenge. The most challenging part about it is when you have friends that don't work, and then you're just like, everyone's hanging out and I got to go to work. And that's pretty much the only challenging thing I've ever found with it. So it's pretty easy to balance.
And I'll jump in real quick too. I think what high school students can't comprehend yet when you look at college is college, we have a lot of free time. So we might only go to class until noon, and you might have something at 5 o'clock, like a meeting or practice that you got to go to, but you have 5 hours in the middle of the day to either get homework done, work a job, or do whatever. John, Colette, and I are all student ambassadors at Northwood. So we are tour guides basically. And what's great about that job is we pick up hours when we want to pick up hours. So if you don't want to work a week because you've got crazy tests and practice and group stuff, you don't have to take up hours. But if you want to work your butt off the next week, you can pick up as many tours as you want. So there are flexible jobs, and college is a different style of not having class from 7:30 or whatever high school starts until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So plenty of time to get homework done and work a job.
Thank you. And go ahead, John.
One quick thing I just want to mention while we're on the subject of time management, we do have another webinar next Tuesday at that's May 5th, and that's at 2 p.m. And it's all about time management. So whether you're a procrastinator or you're really a student who's already good at time management, we'll have lots of different unique ways to help manage your time. So I just want to chime that in real quick.
Good plug, John.
Thank you. And while you're talking about time management, another question I get a lot is, can I do study abroad? I'm not sure if any of you have done, you can nod your heads if you have, Nick. And so I'll go into that in a second here. But that's sometimes folks want to see if they can actually do that still in being in part of the BBA MBA track. We do have various opportunities, some that might be a semester long, some might be a week long. So just really depending on what your schedule is and working closely with your academic advisor, you can definitely incorporate that into your studies. So Nick, would you want to share a little bit more about your experience there?
Yeah, so I didn't have the opportunity to do a full semester study abroad. I did the 2-week exchange program where, or faculty led, where a faculty from Northwood and about 20 students go abroad, and I went to Greece. So I went for like a week and a half to Greece. We traveled the countryside. It's absolutely beautiful. And what's great about it is it was a math class, and I had to fulfill my calc credit. And by going to Greece and writing a paper at the end, I finished calc with no problems. So it was fun. I got a credit done, and memories that I won't ever forget. So I definitely suggest, if you're looking to study abroad, definitely working in early in your schedule as soon as possible, because my biggest regret is not being able to do it enough. I wish I had the opportunity to do a full semester or the semester in Europe trip as well. So work with your advisors and plan ahead if you want to study abroad.
Also, just if I can pipe in real quick, I have not done any study abroad personally, but I do have a friend who, this is her 3rd year, so she'd be a senior in the BBA/MBA program, who went on a semester abroad this past fall. So she was there for the whole semester, and she's in BBA/MBA, and she was still able to do it. It's just like Nick said, talking to your academic advisor and asking them and letting them know right away, hey, I want to do this, so let's schedule my classes to where we can make it work. And they're very good about that.
Awesome. One other question just was in regards to internships. I know we talked a little bit about that, but really, where can they find those types of opportunities? Career Advancement Services, or Career Services rather, is a great resource for you. I know that they have really moved into the Handshake platform, so that's definitely where you would want to build your portfolio or your profile so that you can add your resume and any other portfolio things that you want to share out there to prospective employers. So that is definitely something that we would highly recommend. Aside from, you're still able to attend those career fairs. If you've already graduated, you're always welcome back onto campus to any of the career fairs that we have.
And I also want to chime in real quick on that too. beyond handshake and things, I am a personal fan of things like Glassdoor, LinkedIn, and even just searching on Google. Like I've actually found just by typing in, management internships, I found a plethora of ones around every single state, the country, the world. So don't be afraid to just do even those basic things. Or if you are, say, a high school senior and you're just sitting at home, and you're kind of bored, go out and explore some of those companies that you might want to start following on LinkedIn, and you might want to start engaging with, so that you can find a recruiter on LinkedIn and start talking, even if they can't hire you for a few years, because eventually down the road, you're going to want that internship. And by starting early, you're really going to be able to.
And building relationships with professors and the career development office early does wonders. I built relationships with Debbie Schumer at the career advancement office right away. And whenever an internship or a job came across her desk, I was one of the first people that she reached out to, because she knows that I would be a great representation of Northwood, and I would love the internship. So creating relationships with those people early on and maintaining them through LinkedIn and even in person, I think is super, super important.
Yep. And we occasionally will have specific BBA, MBA internship sessions throughout the year, where we will bring other employers to come talk to our students. So you're always welcome to participate in those, just so you can have see the different options that are out there for internships aside from the career fairs. But career services, you have that for life as a graduate while you're in Northwood, but also as a graduate, you have career services available to you for life. So anything from resume building to, say 10 years from now, you're moving on to a different opportunity and you need to negotiate salaries, whatever it is, you can always reach back out to the team there and they are happy to help you. Any questions?
And then I was just going to add, sorry, for the athletes who are watching or anyone who's looking to join a program at Northwood, our athletic director, Dave Marsh, and also Krista Plummer are incredible with helping student athletes. You guys will probably be traveling sometimes when these career fairs are going on, and they always send out information. Sometimes different companies will be looking for a student athlete, or they've had a student athlete in the past and they're looking for an athletic internship if you're in sports management, and they'll send them to us. Like I've probably gotten like 4 or 5. So there's always still opportunities with your schedule, and they make sure to keep you up to par with everything that's happening, even when you're traveling. So they're really, really great with that in the athletic department to make sure that they're helping you also with your schedule.
Thank you, Megan. And I think also, Colette, you kind of touched on this a little bit before, but we like to say that the students that are in here, they're very busy. All of you are busy, not only being part of this track, but also internships and other organizations that you're a part of. But I think as long as you find individuals who are like-minded like you keep each other accountable. John, if you'll speak a little bit to that, to the students out there that are listening.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of, at least for me, I get excited and motivated by people that work hard around me. So all my friends are very hardworking. We all have drive. We all have the ability to work well, because everyone motivates each other. When you're around someone who's working all the time, you are going to work all the time. You're going to work really hard, because in the end, you want to be able to tell yourself that you did it. Like no matter what the circumstances were, no matter what the challenge is. I mean, right now I can speak, I think for all of us on this call, transitioning to all online for our classes has definitely been different. It's been an increase of the workload, but those are the types of students that succeed in the real world, because you have the ability to meet those challenges. You have the tools and the skills to be able to do that. And so relying on each other as a group is really important.
I also just want to say that this is what I always tell everyone about Northwood, is that I truly believe that the students that go to Northwood are the people, it's just like everyone coming together that like just did all these things in high school. And it's just a lot of those like spirits just in one. Whether you are really active in high school or not, you will be when you get here. And that's not just to scare you. It's just because there's so many opportunities that you can have, and everyone's out there just doing the best that they can. And it's fun. It's fun to improve and these different aspects of your life, and fun to get these experiences and have the opportunities that we do have here. So, and like Lucille and John both said, it holds you accountable to just really make sure that you're on top of your game as well. So
The Northwood family is a real thing, and we all care about each other. And we want to help each other in whatever way possible. For example, I was helping a buddy that owns a business and is going to help actually DeVos here hopefully soon. And that's just after the fact when we graduated. But as we're in college, we're always willing to help each other in whatever way we can with our schoolwork, find a job or an internship. So.
Awesome. And so just kind of to wrap things here is I just wanted to ask, and I probably should have asked in the beginning, is why did you all choose the BBA MBA track? So I'll start with Megan first.
So I chose the BBA MBA track because being an athlete, when you come to school on scholarship, you can do the BBA MBA track and have your athletic scholarship still apply to your fourth year, which is awesome. So, and that also goes for your merit scholarship, like your academic. So for me, I would looked at it as like, this is an opportunity for me to work hard, and it'll take more work and take more classes. But after those 4 years, like I would have accomplished like more than I can even imagine. And so I looked at it as an opportunity of like, I worked hard in high school to get an academic scholarship and to play my sport. And I just was like, I want to do something that's going to push me and push my boundaries and make sure that I'm learning more and leaving college just feeling really accomplished, and that like I did everything I could with my time there. So that's why I decided to join.
Thank you, Megan. And Colette?
So I joined for a lot of reasons, I feel like, but a couple like personal ones that might be unique to me is that number one, like Megan said, the scholarships roll over. So for me, that was a big thing because don't quote me on this, but I'm fairly certain that there is like no other school that will allow you any scholarship money to roll over into your graduate program, which is just absolutely amazing because for me, that's like 25 grand I'm getting off automatically that I don't have to worry about at all, which is very nice. And then it just seemed like the perfect opportunity, like just to go there and get everything done in 4 years and be surrounded and have the opportunity to be with a group that's doing the same and make friends that way. And that's pretty much why I chose it. It just seemed like everything lined up perfectly, and that was the right thing to do.
Awesome. And John?
For me, the biggest thing was the 4-year thing. I am the type of student who wants to get out into the real world and go. So as much as I will be a lifelong learner, I don't necessarily want to just do it from a classroom perspective. I want to be out there in the real world learning. So to be able to get my bachelor's and my master's, which I wanted, but to be able to do it in 4 years was the main reason I joined.
Thank you. Nick?
Yeah, I agree with John. I think being able just to finish as quick as possible is the biggest thing for me. To enter the workforce at 22 with an MBA only sets me up for larger raises sooner than my colleagues that I work with, which is huge for me, as well as I like to be challenged. So since business is everything that I care about, business classes typically just have always come easier to me in general. So having that extra credit in there, that those extra 3 credits that pushed me, it gave me the perfect amount of push that I needed to be challenged throughout my entire undergrad and through the DeVos program. So that's the main 2 reasons why I chose it. And as well as I saved a ton of money. As I'm looking back at now the bills that I have to pay once I graduate from DeVos, if I wouldn't have had the BBA MBA scholarship, I would be in a much different place financially. So I'm thankful for the scholarships and being able to overload on credits and save money that way.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And just as John had mentioned before, we have other webinar sessions coming up, the time management one, but we do want to invite you to take a virtual campus tour. You can do that by signing up at www.northwood.edu. If anyone has any additional questions that they would like to ask, if it's for the whole group or one of the specific students, please do so now. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions offline. My email, I don't know if John wants to put that up there, is paganl@northwood.edu. and I am happy to share more information or connect you with one of the students. I know that any of the students that we have here, and we have over 160 students actually from first year to fourth year that are part of this track currently, they would be more than happy to share their experiences, especially if you're looking at a particular major or maybe someone who has done like the semester abroad. I'm always happy to connect you. Okay. All right. Well, thank you again for your time. And again, we wish you a safe and happy and healthy day to you and your families, and to the rest of your summer, to the rest of your studies. And we hope to see you on campus. Thank you to all the panel that's joined us today, Tristan, Colette, Nick, Megan, and John. Thank you for sharing your experiences with us.